Good afternoon. We're talking preparations for SHTF in South Africa. And if you have not watched my other videos with regards to that, please go and have a look. And we're talking at this stage more in particular with regards to food. The previous video was also about food, and we're continuing that with more exact products that you need to cater for which I'm giving guidelines only. Just remember that I'm giving guidelines. I'm not saying this is the law, but we all need to make sure that we've got sufficient food in our houses to feed our families. SHTF in South Africa is imminent. We know about planning by certain political parties to have mass action on the 20th of March. And also I've got it on good authority, according to an INT brief, that it's also going to happen in June 2023. Now, what could happen potentially in a situation like this is that supply routes could be disrupted. The DCs, your distribution centers, could come under the torch, and it will naturally affect what you as a consumer and the one that's going to need to plan to feed your family affect down the line. And it's not only for the short term, it's not only what's happening in South Africa. In the Christian community, we know that there's an apocalypse looming. The coming of Christ is imminent, but before that happens, there's a lot of other things that is going to happen, and it is going to, and I'm warning you, and I'm speaking directly to you, I'm saying to you, it's going to become ugly. This world is going to be turned upside down like you have never witnessed. Not in the Second World War, not the First World War. It's going to be turned upside down like never before. First on my list is oats, and I'm going to try to give you guidelines as to the shelf life of these items. Oats, you can look at about a year to a year and a half, and 1 kilogram of oats feeds about 20 people in one sitting. So you, as the guy that's going to plan how you're going to procure your food and store your food, will have to take into consideration the portions that you consume in your family. Next up, as a long shelf life, is maize. But we also need to protect that against insect infestation. Maize, with that, it's SAMP, and that's rich in starch, fiber, amino acids, carbs, and iron. It keeps you a bit fuller, and yeah, it's not always feasible to just eat that, but at least you will have something in your stomach. The next up is flour. Your bread flours, your cake flours, you can look at a shelf life for that around about 6 months, 6 months to a year, and you can think about getting white and brown, because the brown is going to give you a bit more fiber in the flour. And with that, my recommendation is to get yeast as well. At least you can bake bread when there's no bread on the shelves. There's other stuff that you can do with that as well. So add your yeast to your flour, and make sure that you've got that in your house. Another idea when it comes to flour is your pita breads and your these things that you roll your food into. I think they call it a burrito. Sorry for that, I'm tripping over my words here. Next up is rice. Rice has got an almost indefinite shelf life. And to have something like that, you can look at rice, you can look at about 35 kilograms per person per year in your house. I know that's a lot of storage space it's going to take, but rather be prepared and not look back later and feel sorry for yourself. With that, with your rice, you can also look at your beans, lentils, and your dried peas, and yeah, A variety of beans is a good thing so that you don't have the same thing always. You can eat your beans with rice. I've seen it being done, and it's actually not that bad tasting. These are items that is like beans, lentils, and your split peas are items that, and you can even add wheat in there as well. You get these half-kilogram packets of wheat. You can even add that, and those items has got an almost indefinite shelf life. Your sugars and your salts also indefinite. You can keep that for about 10 years, and your sugar will never go off. Your iodized salt, that might not, the iodine in your salt might go off at some stage, but your the quality of your salt is virtually, you can look at 5 to 10 years. If yeah, you can look at about 5 to 10 years shelf life for your salts. Then another thing that you can also put away in abundance is pasta. Your pasta is high in carbs, and also it's a quick meal to feed a family of 4 to 6. If you look at your pastas, your max and your penne, also your spag goes actually a bit far further than your max and your penne. And you can feed up to 7 people on 500 grams of spaghetti. Like I say, high in carbs, and a good thing just to have a quick in-between meal. If you want to add with your pastas and stuff, chuck in a couple of 2-minute noodles as well. Some people call it ramen. There's a variety of flavors. It's quick to make, and it fills you for that period between breakfast and your bigger supper. Soya mince, I have not tried soya mince in years because at some point I've lost the taste for it. But there's a variety of soya minces on the shelves. It's a bit expensive, and I'm not sure what the shelf life is, but it's something that you might want to add. If you have your maize porridge, let's say like pap for your main meal for the day, and you add a bit of soya mince to it. I think it's about half a cup or a cup of soya mince, and 2 cups of water, and you warm it up, let it thicken a bit, and you have it over your pap or over your rice. That is a meal. As I said in the beginning, I'm not going expensive here. I'm not going the best on the shelf. I'm going budget here because you need to procure in large quantities, and for that, not everybody in South Africa with the current economic dispensation does have the funds or the monies in his pocket to just walk into a shop and get what you need and walk out. But the bottom line is that we do need to prepare. I think if I take $100 per week and just take that stuff and put it to the side, then I can guarantee you, with just $100 per week that I add on my groceries, I can almost tell you, if I think quickly, in terms of rice, in terms of your millipap, in terms of pastas, you can almost have 2 to 3 weeks to a month in advance food if you just spend $100 extra on stuff like these I've mentioned at the moment. Another thing that I see a lot of people add is Smash. There's one thing about Smash, the nutrition is endless, and because it's hermetically sealed, it's got a shelf life of almost, you can say, almost up to 2 years before it actually goes bad. Easy to mix, and it's a meal on its own. Then your herbs and spices. Add a couple of herbs and spices. You are allowed to splash a bit on yourself and make sure that your food is actually tasty. And the tastier the food, the better the chances of your finicky one in the family actually enjoying a nutritious meal. Add your garlic. Garlic is high in antioxidants, and it also gives a bit of an extra oomph to your meal. Then other items that as non-food items, I'm looking at bleach. Bleach is a sanitation sanitary fluid, and it can also purify water. Look at alcohol. Alcohol can be a barter item, but it can also be something that you can sanitize an area with. Vinegar, antifungal fluids, uh, and also a preservative. Um, Look at the expiry dates. If you have an idea what the expiry date is, then you also have an idea uh, how long you can put this. But I've also listened to the conversation during this week that, especially in terms of medication, the expiry date on a tub of, let's say, for instance, paracetamol is a certain date. But if you really consult with people that's in the medical industry, that expiry date is actually much longer. So in the end, it's also about making an extra buck and see how much they can push things through the shelves. No wonder they're saying these are all FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods. There's a lot that is still to be researched. There's a lot that we still can do to prepare ourselves. We can look at stuff like vegetables. If you want to chance vegetables, then it's not a bad idea. If you want to buy vegetables and store it, you can like I said with your vinegars. You can preserve some of your vegetables. It's probably not going to taste that good, but at least it's going to be something. Your box meals, like your mince that mixed with your soya mince. That's also stuff that we need to take into consideration, that when we plan our foods, that we have sufficient quantities and that we also have nourishment. The emphasis is on nourishment in this case, and make sure that you have enough of each of most of these items in your house. Like I say, it's guidelines. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. I sit and I do a bit of research before I come and sit here and give you all these guidelines. That's all from my side for today. The only thing I can say to you is, please be safe, be careful, stay safe, stay careful, stay prepared. Enjoy your day.